Do you want to live more peacefully and discover what it means to achieve inner peace? Do you want to be able to remove toxic thoughts and events from your life? If your answer is yes, follow this Zen story to the end because we will see what are the 10 things you should eliminate from your life immediately. But before continuing, subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and share the video. Thanks to these small gestures, you will help us produce new content every day for your personal and spiritual growth. In a quiet monastery located among the snow-capped mountains of Japan, lived the elderly and wise Buddhist monk Kenta, famous for his wisdom and the way he was able to help others. One day, a young man arrived at the monastery eager to embark on a spiritual journey that would lead him towards inner peace and personal growth. Kenta welcomed him with a smile, and after asking him some questions to understand what anxieties and fears he had to overcome, he stopped for a few seconds to reflect and then began to give his lessons. Dear boy, imagine life as a journey through a vast forest, and imagine that every step you take within this forest is a piece of your journey. The young man, captured by the monk's suggestive metaphor, prepared to listen to him very carefully, convinced that he would soon hear the answers to his most important questions. The first lesson you must learn, said the master, is that in life there are people you must let go. They are the ones that hold you back, that can't understand you, that hurt you. Warning: I'm not telling you that you have to end relationships with these people overnight. Be focused on your goals and becoming the person you want, trying to include the people you care about in your changes. There will be those who will understand and want to continue the journey alongside you, and there will be those who, however, will not accept your change. In this case, you will be free to remain close to you or, on the contrary, move away from you. Kenta told the young man about a time when he himself had to face the arduous task of letting go of a relationship that was causing him pain. Life is like a flowing river, he explained, and sometimes we have to free it from what pollutes. The young man understood that the master was not inviting him to be selfish, but to work to preserve his own inner peace. The second thing you have to give up is superfluous goals, Kenta continued. In my youth, I had set goals for myself that, over time, I discovered were superfluous and harmful to my spiritual growth. Think of a tree, he added. There are branches that we must necessarily cut off if we want him to grow strong and resist the storms. So if you want to resist the bad weather of life, you must think carefully about what goals are worth pursuing. The young man reflected on the wisdom of focusing on what is truly meaningful, letting go of what would hold us back. The third thing you must avoid doing, continued the master, is telling too many things about yourself to others. Remember, people often fail to rejoice in your successes. This is because of their frustration and the failures they have collected in life. This means that more or less unconsciously, when they come into possession of valuable information about you, they end up using it to harm you. So be very careful about the things you share with others. And above all, let the facts show your victories. Don't tell anyone. As the wind made its voice heard, as if it were carrying with it precious pieces of wisdom, Kenta continued with the fourth lesson. Remove anger from your life. Containing anger in moments of tension and channeling it into positive actions is essential if you want to maintain the clarity that allows you to make wise decisions. Anger is like fire, the master explained. It can destroy or heat. It depends on how we handle it. The young man understood that we cannot pretend not to know anger, but when it comes to us, we can decide how to manage it, transforming negative energy into a constructive force. The fifth thing you must avoid doing is dispensing negative judgments on others, Kenta said in a peremptory tone. Every tree has a story, he said, as does every person. Don't judge a story just by its fallen leaves. Deep understanding requires that you look beyond appearances. The young man found himself more and more immersed in the monk's engaging stories. He began to understand that, by following his teachings, he could do with his life what he wanted. Dear boy, added Kenta, today social media have become an integral part of everyone's life. Sometimes they are also used for work. Therefore, I will not ask you to give them up, but to use them consciously. Imagine navigating through the pages of a digital book, he said. Choose the stories you read carefully, otherwise you risk losing their meaning. The young man learned that awareness in the use of social media is essential to maintain a clear perspective. Discerning the stories that are around is essential if we do not want to be distracted from our path. Another thing you absolutely must get rid of, said Kenta, introducing the seventh lesson, is the approval of others. Imagine yourself on a lighted stage. Be the protagonist of your story rather than seeking applause from an audience that may not fully understand your story. The young man reflected on the inner strength that comes from self-approval. He reflected on how, to reach our essence, we must not depend on what others think of us. Letting go of unreasonable expectations and accepting what we cannot change is the eighth lesson you need to learn, Kenta said. Unreasonable expectations are often the root of disappointment and dissatisfaction. When we expect too much of ourselves or others, we create fertile ground for failure and frustration. To achieve inner peace, it is essential to abandon expectations and accept reality with openness and flexibility. This does not mean stopping pursuing goals and ambitions, but rather embracing achievements with an open mind, adapting to challenges that may arise and focusing on solutions. As the sun began to hide behind the mountains, Kenta introduced the ninth lesson, freeing oneself from attachment to the past. Holding on to grudges, regrets, and negative feelings from the past can be a significant obstacle to present serenity, the master said. Letting go of the past allows you to live fully in the present moment and face the future with greater clarity and serenity. Forgiveness, both towards others and towards oneself, is an important step in freeing oneself from attachment to painful past experiences. And finally, Kenta said, stop resisting change. Life is inherently changeable, and resisting change can lead to stress and anxiety. Accepting that change is inevitable and embracing it as an opportunity for growth can lead to greater inner serenity. Stopping opposing the natural flow of life allows us to adapt more easily to challenges and find peace even during the storms that we normally have to go through. The monk Kenta, after finishing his teachings, looked at the young man with a compassionate gaze and added, life is like a canvas in which each of us paints his own story. But remember, painting with wisdom requires patience, discernment, and the courage to embrace the beauty hidden in challenges. The young man leaving the monastery reflected on the words of the elderly and wise monk. Life, he thought, is a journey full of challenges, but only through awareness, kindness, and deep understanding can we paint a picture of true happiness. The forest of life is dense and mysterious, but every step is an opportunity to embrace wisdom and grow as an enlightened individual. And what do you think of Master Kenta's lessons? Write it in the comments and let's discuss together.